It said, okay, now we're live now.
Oh, okay. Hmm. Share. Okay, are you able to see my screen?
No, I can't see your screen. I just see you or see your video, but I don't see on the screen.
Oh, boy. I don't see how I lost access to. Hmm. It should have let me know.
Oh, we have 5 people so far.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, today we're going to talk about black farmers. As you know, black farmers are really American Indian farmers. We already
Right.
know how that goes. And so today what we're going to talk about is how, land was taken away, resources was taken away from the alleged black farmers.
Yep. Yep. It's taking me a minute because it's asking me to change some of the settings on my computer. Um,
Hi. Hey, Orlando. And hi, Copper. Hey, we're doing fine. I'm looking at the chat right now.
Still looking. Sucker. So let's say to go to.
Yeah, we're trying to try to share a screen to talk about this farming and stuff like that. And it's really amazing how they said about 16 million acres, I think, maybe more acres was actually stolen or taken away.
Hmm. Oh,
Renzo. Hmm.
it says if I do it, I'll have to exit out of this and come back in. So so I may have to exit out of the video.
Oh, okay. In order for you to share it.
Yeah, because I have to change my preference to for them to allow Google Chrome to be screen recorded in my settings.
Oh, okay.
So yes, I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then you can bring me back in, and then we can show the video.
Okay. So I guess I'll go ahead and remove you off of here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
Okay. I had to invite my guest back in, guys. Let's see. Hold on for a second. Hey, okay. All right. Back on.
All
Add
right, so
stream.
yeah,
Okay.
share
All
screen
right.
now.
Good to see that you.
I think
Okay,
you should be able to
guys, this is my
screen now. Do you
guest, Danielle. About to share her screen.
Hello,
Hmm.
Kalito, everyone. Thank you so much for bringing me on the show today. I'm really excited to be discussing this topic. Um, I guess to give a little bit of information about myself, I'm a descendant of the Mississippi Chata, and I am the owner of Oka Ohoyo Integrative Healing Services for Amerindians. And I do intuitive healer work. I'm a student herbalist, and I do energy healing, and I make my own herbal products. And I'm really excited to be on the Rojo Chief platform today, and can't wait to get into this topic.
Hmm.
So,
Oh yeah, definitely.
so can you see my screen?
Hey, I
You
don't
said yeah.
see it yet. I don't see it yet. I just see your video. I don't see your screen yet. Let's see.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Let's see if I can add it. Hold
Oh, wait a
on.
minute.
Okay. Let's see. Let me add it. This I had clicked to add the stream. Let's see what happens. Add. Let's see. Okay, there we go. There we go. Now we're
And
in business.
you see it? Oh,
Hmm.
okay.
I see it
Okay, so this is the video, The Return of the Black Farmer by Lisa Cabrera, and we're going to
now.
be discussing things in regards to this video today. So I'm going to play it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know, there were many Black people when they left the plantation that tried to get land, and many had land, and start up their own farms. Much of the land was stolen, and even today, the Black farmer is constantly sabotaged. If you remember
Hold on,
this,
Danielle. I can't see the image. I can't see the video.
about them
I
being
hear a voice, but I can't see it though.
Oh, man. Oh, okay. I'm getting the gist of this now. So can you see it now? Okay.
um, not yet. Is it like did you choose a certain? Did you choose the tab that it's on?
Yeah, I brought the tab out so
Like
people
window?
can see.
Okay,
Can you see it? Or are the people
not
able to?
yet. Hold on. Let me ask them. Can they see it? I'm about to see what they say in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Let's see what happens. That's right. Okay. Okay, I want to see what they're saying.
Oh, are they? Did they respond yet?
They said yeah, somebody. I think it's Jesse. I'm gonna show their comment.
Oh, he put a thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so I'm gonna play it.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know, there were many Black people when they left the plantation that tried to get land, and so many had land, and start up their own farms. Much of the land was stolen, and even today, the Black farmer is constantly sabotaged. If you remember the story that came out in 2018 about them being sold bad seeds so they would not have the same kind of crop that white farmers had. And it has been all throughout history of stolen land, stolen livestock, and just taking everything away from these farmers. Now, these folks will make the claim that we don't know how to farm. If we didn't know how to farm, we would never have made it through chattel slavery, and you would certainly not have eaten down in the South. Let's be real here. As long as slavery was going on, you ate. But as soon as those slaves walked away from the plantation, you must have some amnesia about the history. As soon as those slaves left the plantation, it was a famine down in the South. They went through a famine, y'all. Don't ever let them forget that when they want to boast about being the
Can we
one that.
pause that part? Can we pause right there?
Pause it. Okay.
Yeah, because the thing is about Lisa is like I like the fact that that she tries to be conscious about things, but she's coming from the wrong narrative. She's coming from the African American narrative, and as though
Right.
like all people that whose status is allegedly black, because we know black is not a, it's it's a color, and it means to be pale,
Yeah.
right? But we know it goes back to the Christian black codes, which I did a video about that on my channel, and it goes to slavery. And
Oh, drop. Oh, no.
yeah, just strange.
But yeah, you're absolutely right about that. That black label. It's a lot of folks that's really clinging on to that black label and that black status, and that's not. It doesn't denote any true identity or true place of origin or your ancestors. It just completely throws that out the window when you start claiming that black label.
Oh, no. Out.
Oh man. Sorry for the technical difficulties, everyone.
Yeah, yeah, Cameron. That's true. I'm gonna put that up there. Yeah, show his comment. Yeah, they dropped me like twice. Okay, so Cameron said, "Our people hate to hear we aren't African." Laugh out loud. That's.
Right.
Then it said here. Then he said facts.
That's like
Then
next to Jesus for them, claiming to be African.
mm, mm,
Yeah, we had a
yeah, we
completely
even
different.
had a completely different culture. Exactly. That's true. And then see, and then Renzo will show what Renzo said. Let's see. Can I see it? Let me see. Let me put it back up there to show it. Show the comment. It also means dismal and calamity. Yeah, it does. Black. Yeah. Yeah, it was a slave status that they had placed upon us and also the African people that were brought over here. And in
Yes.
my opinion, the only reason why they was able to get our people in a situation is because since we look similar phenotypically to African people and our hair texture and complexion is similar to African people, they was able to get at our people psychologically and make them
Hmm.
believe, when they saw movies like Roots, that oh yeah, that must be me. Meanwhile, they were showing the people that came from Siberia and made them seem as though that they are the original Indians when they weren't. When in
Right.
actuality, our people been here for, you know, over 300,000 years. And so I'm going to have my friend on who he had his own NGO. And an NGO is a non-governmental organization. And he had actually had basically told the United Nations that, that the so-called black people or the Negroes that's in America, that they're actually Paleo Indians, which Paleo means ancient, the ancient Indians, which we know
Mhm.
are also known as the mound builders. So the United Nations on the indigenous side, they already knew this. And I think he presented this to them, I would say back in 2012 or 2014, somewhere around there. But anyways, I think that before I got dropped off, they know, Lisa was talking about how our people were slaves and she's going by the wrong narrative and stuff like that. And it's really a shame because truthfully and honestly, most of the so-called black farmers are actually indigenous people. You can go
Right.
ahead, Daniel.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. Come on, no. All right. So I don't know if y'all can see it.
Okay, hold on. Let me see.
All right.
So, anyway, let's get into this story, ladies and gentlemen. A new generation of Black farmers is returning to the land, and this came out in Yes Magazine. They're working to repair harm inflicted over the past 400 years with an eye toward reparations. And what happened to Black farmers alone should be enough for reparations. You sabotaged a whole group of people when it came down to farming. Imagine your neighbor stole your cow. A few weeks later, the neighbor comes over laden with remorse to offer a sincere apology and to promise to make it right. No, give me my cow back. Okay. The neighbor offers to atone by giving you half a pound of butter every week for the rest of the cow's life. What do you think of that? No, give me my cow back. Why would I want you to give me butter from my cow? Give the cow back. That's not equivalent to stealing a cow. Okay, if you took the butter, they're coming out easy. They still got your cow. They are still getting everything out of the cow, milk, butter, and even once it's slaughtered, the meat and everything. So no, why would you want the butter? You wouldn't want your cow back. It's crazy. And the United Nations agree. The UN principles on reparations and immunity, which provides basic guiding principles around gross human violations, hold that reparations should be proportional to the gravity of the violations and the harm suffered. In other words, society's scant attempts to make amends for atrocities is the butter. Reparations is the cow. Exactly. Compensation for unpaid wages under slavery alone would add up to $5.9 trillion in today. Yeah, well, I think it would be higher, but 5.9 trillion is what they came up with. That doesn't include damages due to Black people because of such policies as Jim Crow, redlining, mass incarceration, which is still going on today, or other injuries. Discussions around reparations in this country have been of special interest to Black farmers, and I don't blame them. I understand because they want to be compensated for all of the abuse they had to take and them being cheated every step of the way and losing their land.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the litany of societal abuses heaped upon them, including the broken promises of 40 acres and a mule, lynchings that targeted landowners, and most of the Black men that were lynched were business owners, and a lot of them were lynched so that these white folks could get their land. Some of them had many acres of land and they didn't want them to have it, so they would make up some lie in order to get that Black man lynched, run his family off the land, and then take it. And if he had any kind of bank account, they stole the bank account too. Discrimination by the federal government and heirs property exploitation. As a result, the number of Black farmers has declined from 14% of the nation's farmers in 1910 to less than 2% today, with a corresponding loss of more than 12 million acres of land. Melissa Gordon's thesis report of
Now's the time to find a health plan on healthcare.gov. Sign up between November 1st and December.
Huh.
I said a commercial.
Right. I got an ass in her video. But I want to comment on that part when she was talking about 14%. We were 14% of the farmers in America, which I think that's a lie. We were the majority of the farmers in America in the early 1900s, 1800s, and early 1900s. We were the majority.
Yeah, we definitely were. We definitely were the majority, because there's a picture of the so-called Black men back in what was it, 1920s, I think, and they showed them and they said how many acres of land that they had in the United States, fraudulently stole the land away from our people and gave it to the Caucasians who had nothing, according to what Dr. Martin Luther King had said, that they had girded them with land, which was our ancestors' land, and the land that they couldn't take and just deliberately give away to the foreigners. They pretty much had taxed us out of it. But like Lacono said, that the interesting part is this. He said something about 40 acres. Well, when you look at those treaties, it's actually more so like 100 acres, 120 acres worth of land, And then also when you look at these land patents too, and so that's why it's imperative, it's very important for our people to do their genealogy, like Lacono said, and look up your ancestors, and understand that Negro, if you see that term Negro, it doesn't necessarily mean a person of African descent. because
Exactly.
they have reclassified the Indians as Negroes as well, just like they had reclassified the Indians as coloreds and mulatto. And then at some point in time, when they was classifying our ancestors as mulattoes, it actually meant an Indian, 100% Indian. It
Yep.
didn't refer to them as being a person of African and European descent, as they tell you now. And see, that's the issue with what the Europeans did. They always had to lie to try to cover up what who the Indian is. That's why they lied and said mulatto meant a person of African and European descent, when at first it meant a person that was 100% Indian.
Yep. Exactly.
So we got to keep that in mind. And then also they had reclassified some of our people as straight up white as well. And you think that it could have been an ancestor that came from Europe, but in actuality, that person probably was an Indian. And
Yeah.
then furthermore, if our ancestors came from Africa, we should have been able to, find a paper trail, such as what plantation they were on and what slave manifest they came off of in country and stuff like that.
Right. We would have at least had oral tradition passed down to us from our elders that of what African tribe that we came from. But no, I don't know any of our people who have had anybody in their family tell them that, oh, I came from this tribe in Africa. Like it was always what, indigenous tribe here in America that, we came from. Whether it's Choctaw, Cherokee, Chickasaw, our families have memory of that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, and that's the reason. That's very true, and that's the reason why you have this clown um works for ancestry. What's his name? You know what I'm talking about? That he tried to convince Tina
Yeah.
Turner that she was African. Henry Louis Gates. That he's nothing but a sellout. He's married to a Caucasian woman, so apparently he's he's the opposition against us. Because he
Of course.
knows that the majority of the so-called blacks know and say that they came from Indian ancestors, not African ancestors. I mean, some of us have African ancestry and are mixed with African, and that's okay. It's nothing wrong with that. It's not a problem. But even if you are mixed, the thing of it is that you have an indigenous right in order to claim your indigenous bloodline and heritage if you want
Exactly.
to. And that's the whole point. And that's where the power lies at. It lies in being indigenous or being an Aborigine of America. An African
Yep.
American is a foreigner. So therefore,
Exactly.
they don't have the same type of rights that an indigenous person would have. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Did you want me to play it some more?
Hmm. Yeah, you can
Oh,
go ahead.
Tufts University shows wealth decline. The Black community through farmland loss exceeds $120 billion. Wow. I bet it's even higher than that, y'all, because any numbers they give you is always going to be lowball. 1997, Black farmers drove their tractors to Washington demanding justice and sued the federal government for its leading role in their oppression. The Pickford versus Glickman settlement of 1999, widely lauded as the largest civil rights discrimination payout in the country's history, awarded about $2 billion with a typical disbursement of $50,000 to an individual farmer. What? Oh, these people. It should have been way higher than $50,000, y'all. That is a joke. While significant, it still fell short of reparations. It damn sure did. That ain't nothing. The amount did not come close to the calculations of what is owed and was not enough to buy back the lost acres of payoff that crushing debt farmers had accumulated in their bids for survival. While cynics predict the extinction of the Black farmer, the farmers themselves are not giving up. No, they wanted to drive them to extinction. That's what they wanted. so that it would be nothing but a sea of white farmers out here. That's what this country really wanted. But they never really truly accomplished that, because there are still some Black farmers around. Not on our watch, said Raphael Aponte, livestock farmer in Western New York, when asked whether Black farmers are dying out. A new wave, part of.
At Craftsy, we understand that handmade means more. Whether you're just getting started with embroidery or looking
Of the returning generation of Black farmers whose grandparents and great-grandparents fled the racial violence of the South are now finding their way back to the land. They are building on the legacy of organizing and resistance in their lineage and working to create an infrastructure for reparations. Three Nation farm-led organization formed within the last 2 years are working to repair the harm to Black farmers over the past 400 years. We are making the road as we walk, Aponte asserts. Black Farmer Fund in Wake County, North Carolina. Olive Watkins operates a forest farm on land that has been in her family since 1890s. Wow. It took a while for her grandmother to get on board with the idea of growing mushrooms and bees under the forest canopy. But now that she sees, so I guess now that she sees everything is happening, she is all for it. The ancestors are so proud of you, Olive, carrying on our legacy. Wow. Watkins is a full-time MBA candidate and a director of the founding board of the Black Farmers Fund, formed last year to seek reparations for Black farmers. It's a charitable fund that pools money from investors to provide non-extractive loans to Black-owned farming and food businesses. The Black Farmer Fund is a tool to make reparations happen, a vehicle to aggregate money so that it gets invested in our farmers and build community wealth, Watkins said. I realize that we need to develop financial literacy and finance vehicles in our movement in order to gain access to the capital we need to thrive on the land. Yeah, and you need to set up funding to make sure you don't get sabotaged again, because as soon as you get a good thing going, these folks are coming to sabotage you. They've been doing this all throughout history.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's a fact. That's true.
Black farmers do not get loans in this country at the same rate as white farmers. Never did. They never did. So I'm glad to see that they are trying to set up a whole separate type of funding for Black farmers. I think that is the key to them really being able to get out there and have productive farms. For example, the USDA has a practice of requiring farmers to pledge their land as collateral for loans, which has led to land seizures that disposes Black farmers. The funds does not place liens on land. So the funds that they are setting up for the Black farmers will not put a lien on their land. I think that's a good idea. We as farmers are still working at the scene of the crime. Watkins said, something I can offer to this space is
The University of Texas at Austin brings you comprehensive online program in analytics.
The vehicle to help us access the large sums that we are owed. Mm-hmm. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think this is an excellent idea. And that is really the key. You got to cut them out of everything in order for, your farms to be successful. Now, here's the part I wanted to jump down to. White people now control 98% of the nation's farmland. And you see farming has fallen apart for many of them in this country. See, you built your foundation on stolen land. And those curses are on you for that.
That's pausing right there.
And then you start.
Yeah, I want to talk about that part too, where she's talking about how the white people are getting cursed for, stealing on their work on stolen land. But here's the thing: if you're claiming to be a descendant of Africans, that means that you're a foreigner on this land too, and that you're killing soil and stolen land as well. So, I mean, to me, if you're going to talk about the white people cursing themselves, and you talk about yourself too, because a lot of these so-called black farmers, they're cursing themselves because how can you kill on land that belongs to the American Indian Aboriginal people, and you're not even acknowledging, first of all, you're not acknowledging who you are. You're not acknowledging your ancestors. You're not acknowledging the ancestors of this land and the indigenous spirits of this land. So, I mean, you're cursing yourself too. I mean, you can't, I don't care if whether you're indigenous here or whether you're from somewhere else, you have to pay homage and respect to the ancestors and the natural spirits here on this part of on the planet. You just do. And that's
Yes,
why
because that's universal law.
yep. That's why a lot of them are in trouble. That's why a lot of them, aren't succeeding the way that they should, because, they're continuously, you know, putting themselves in a bind, by not giving honor and respect where it's due. So since she said that.
And she did because she, yeah, because she's doing everything from an black African American perspective as opposed to an American Indian perspective. Even though herself, she said her own self that she has American Indian blood herself,
She did say
and
that,
one of
yeah.
her brothers, so and see, I learned about her from B Miles 84 Conscious channel. He had mentioned her, and he says a lot of stuff too, and he knows about about the Indians, about us being being here and being the so-called Negroes in America.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very interesting, like you said, like you honor not your ancestors. You're supposed to, in the Bible it says, honor that mother and father, so that your days upon earth shall be long, right?
Yeah,
Now, whether if are Christian or not, that's just universal law, period.
yeah.
How do you expect for God or the spirit, to bless you, and to make your life prosperous, make your days long, if you refuse to honor your ancestors because you choosing to go after somebody else's ancestors and claim them to be yours. I mean, it's
Exactly.
no different than it's no different than Arabs claiming that the Egyptian mummy are their ancestors. How?
Right.
You have no blood, you have no genealogy to prove. So therefore it's fraud. It's the same thing.
Right. And what I'm trying to understand is how do they think that the ancestors from a completely different part of the planet is going to work on this side of the planet? It's like invasive species, for example. Like, if you bring an invasive plant over, it's going to conflict with the plants that are indigenous to that land. Or if you're bringing an animal from, say, let's say that you're bringing a zebra over to Michigan from Kenya, that zebra is not
Mhm.
going to survive and function right in an environment like Michigan because it's not used to or accustomed to that environment. And the environment, the DNA of this environment and the DNA of that zebra is not going to mesh well. So people have to really look at it from that perspective.
Mhm. That's true. Yeah. That's true. And then Cameron said our ancestors wrote the Bible. The Bible is talking about us. European hijacked a lot of it. Yeah, because we know that our ancestors believed in life after death. They used they anointed themselves with oil, and plus they had baptized themselves with water, and they created the symbol we know today as the cross. So, so yeah, that's very true. I would
Yeah,
say that, yeah, the Bible is based off of our people. It will be based off of us, and that's probably the reason why in the Bible it says the land of milk and honey. And when you think about America, this has to be it because look all the different foods and things that's here. Look at all the bees that are here that
yeah,
create the honey and the cows that create the milk.
yeah. We're definitely on a landmass that's just filled with abundance, and everybody is trying to get here. Oh, hold on, another technical difficulty. Just give us one moment, guys. She'll be back on in just a second. Just give us one moment. All right, cool, cool.
See me? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, but but what was I saying? I think the last thing I mentioned was you don't
How
see
we,
that over in Africa, and a lot of our from America were brought over to they had their own species, of course, but some animals were brought over from America over to the African continent, and
mm,
foods for sure definitely brought over from America, like for instance coffee and chocolate,
cacao,
and
yeah.
tomatoes, you know, were brought over from America over to Africa, you know.
Sweet potatoes.
Sweet
You know,
potatoes, yep.
for our
Yams.
potatoes over here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's true. Peanuts. The list goes on, right? So,
Yep,
and see,
yep.
and that's another thing too, is that with all the farming, and see, this is how you know how you do what is it, forensic research, is that when you look at the type of foods that a person or the people eat culturally, right?
hmm
Everything that our ancestors were growing were indigenous to this landmass, and they knew exactly how to fix it. But if you were to take a person, say from Ghana, and you give them a sweet potato, they obviously not going to fix it the same way that we do
Right.
because they're not familiar with that like we are. See, and that's how you know that we can't be the same people because if we were allegedly from Ghana or from Mali or any of these other places, then why is it that the way that we prepare our foods is vastly different and also the farming techniques is not the same?
Exactly. That's another thing. Like people keep saying, like, "Oh, we got sweet potatoes and cornbread and from Africa and gumbo." Like, no, we didn't. I mean, if we really were from Africa, we would be able to cook at least, somewhat similarly to the way they cook over there. But we don't know how to cook none of their foods, and they don't know how to cook none of our foods.
It's,
And my thing is,
that's true.
it's not like we're bashing them or anything. We're just pointing out the clear, obvious difference. Oh man. Yeah, you guys gotta forgive
Yeah,
us with these technical
I'm back.
difficulties.
I'm back, y'all. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, we're not trying to bash anybody's, African mommies and daddies, but we're just saying We're not the same people. And it's very frustrating how society and our ignorant brothers and sisters are keep on trying to force slave ship. And we're from
Mhm.
Africa, might not come from off a dang on slave ship. They was already here. They were the ones who built the mounds and the pyramids here. That's
Right.
what we're saying. And that we know that the corn, or as they call it, maize, the Indians were known for growing that crop. And then I know when I look at the what they call it, the non-population schedules. I did a video about that, guys, when I was talking about mulatto, the status of mulatto. Go on my channel and check that out, okay? On there, I had talked about the non-federal schedules, okay? And that's important too, because on there,
Oh man.
what happened here?
Yeah, yeah, you were talking about the non-federal schedules before you dropped.
Federal, yeah, okay. So non-federal, yeah, non-federal, non-population federal schedules. Now on there, it talks about the different things that were grown, the crops that they were growing. Like for instance, I know like one of my father's ancestors, I think it was his great grandfather, his great great grandfather. On the schedule, it mentioned how he was growing corn, right? And it also mentioned other foods that he was growing because he was in Alabama. Of course, it wasn't rice because you're talking about South Carolina. So instead, it was cotton. So these are, two crops that we know our ancestors were growing in vast numbers, right? And and it said on there how many acres of land that he had, that it was his homestead, and that he was a farmer, and that his wife was a farmer, a farmhand as well. And so, and we know for thousands of years that's what our ancestors were doing. And we had so much corn all the way coming from North America all the way down to South America, so much so that the Europeans were stealing the corn as they was traveling, going through our ancestors' land. They were
That
stealing
is so.
corn because they were.
Yeah, everything you're saying definitely is so true. It resonates because most of our people were farmers. Like in my family, we had when I looked at my family tree and spoke to some of my relatives, a lot of our people were farmers too. Like my great uncle Johnny, he was a farmer and a railroad worker too. My great great grandparents Nathaniel and Emma, and they all were all raised and grew up on the farm, and they were all working and cultivating different crops and things, and their parents and their grandparents were farmers. So it's really evident that most of our people were doing that, and if you just take the time out to really tap deeper into your family tree, you will find a lot of farm hands and railroad workers and things of that nature in your tree.
Hmm. Oh yeah, definitely. By looking into your own family tree, looking up your ancestors, and it's like how you look up your ancestors is pulling up the marriage certificates, the death certificate. On the death certificate, okay, it'll show you the names of their parents, so you can add that to your family tree. That's an easy way of knowing who your ancestors are. Pulling these death certificates. Pull the certificates. All right, guys, do that. Make sure you do. Go and get your grandparents' death certificates. Go get your great grandparents, your great great grandparents, your great 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 grandparents, so you can physically have it in your hand to see who their parents were, and you can add the information on a family tree like ancestry.com
Right.
or another website if you like. Then that way you can that this is the succession of ancestors of which you came from. You see what I'm saying?
All right. And if
But a
you,
lot of this stuff too is inside. Mhm. Go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, yeah, and if you tap even deeper, you come across some deeds to lands that was taken away from your family, and because I mean, most of us, the majority of us, I really want to say all of us were living on farmlands. I mean, obviously, but
Mhm.
like Rojo was saying, you
Mhm.
do the work. It's gonna take a lot. It's gonna take a lot of effort, but you gotta do what you gotta do to, restore your family and your history.
Mhm. Yeah. It's very important, And I think the reason why a lot of our people are catching the L, why they're losing in these battles, in these battles in court, is because they're coming the wrong way, just like Dred Scott. He came
Yeah,
the wrong way. He had the wrong argument, right? So that's why he was a plaintiff in error, because his status was wrong. Okay. Just like even today, our people are. I'm back, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm back yet again. And said Cameron said these modern natives know who we are out loud. True.
some of them do though.
It's just
Some people,
facts. I had
know.
they, that's true. It says facts. I had to trace my ancestry back using my grandmother, which is how I found my birth father and found out my whole family tree, Indigenous Cherokee from South Carolina. See that? Yeah. See, that's what I'm talking about. It said
Hmm.
these folks, they know exactly who we are. United Nations, they know who we are as well,
No.
because like because like I was saying, like my friend Nasir earlier, way earlier in the broadcast, how he had a what they call it, a NGO, which is a non-governmental organization, and in that organization, when he went to the indigenous meeting, he had presented to them on the indigenous side of the United Nations that the so-called Negroes are actually Paleo Indians or Paleo Americans, which are ancient Indians. So they know about us. They're just playing dumb, you know. And the thing is about your indigenous rights, like he was telling me, is that we had the Declaration of Indigenous Rights, right? But he was telling me that it's it's added on to the original charter that was written up, okay, by the United States and by the other countries that up in 1948. And so when they created the charter, what happened was the federal government then they copied it and they inserted it into the federal statutes at large. We know anything that's considered as a federal law that's applicable in all 50 states.
Exactly. It's a Supreme.
Okay, that's applicable. Yep. And plus, he said that charter is considered as like a treaty. And inside of the U.S. Constitution, there's an article. I forget, what number of the article it is inside the Constitution, but inside the Constitution, it mentions treaties, and it says that treaties are indeed the law of the land. And our ancestors, they are part and parcel to this land because they were indigenous, which therefore makes us indigenous, and also makes those treaties law. But the issue is that we have to go to court, the right way. You see what I'm saying? And what I mean by the right way, we got to have the correct status. So you have to get your family together and find out, what tribe you come from, and then perhaps create your own tribe based off of your bloodline. And then if you were going to bring up a lawsuit against the United States for stealing your land, they, you should do so as a nation, because when it comes to reparations, according to, law dictionaries, the definition of reparations is money that's given to a nation, not an individual.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Danielle, so what else did you want to say, or did you have anything, other videos that you want to share?
Um, no, I didn't have any other videos. Um, I've really liked the things aside from her using the black misnomer in the video. I really did enjoy the video. It was very informative. Um, I really appreciate that there is a new revival of our people who are getting into farming, and it just made me think to myself, like, man, it's really just a reactivation of our DNA. We're just
Yeah,
tapping into that DNA and our ancestral memory, because it's already there. It's in our bloodline. We've always been farming, and because people always say, "Oh, our people don't know how to do nothing. We can't do this." I mean, they got all the stuff from us. All the stuff that they're doing now, they got from us. We were already doing that. You know.
that's right. Mhm, absolutely. It's called genetic memory. Like literally.
Yeah.
It's an article that was published about the so-called Jewish people. And the reason why I say so-called Jewish people, because the so-called Jewish folks are really genetically Germans,
Mm-hmm.
related to Germans, Russian people, right? So with that being said, the people that was being killed, it was the Germans killing other Germans, technically, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but they had differences, cultural differences, and that's why they call themselves Jewish. But anyways, so these people, as we know about the story, the Holocaust, or how they were being murdered and stuff like that, which is awful. The gas, through the gas chamber and stuff because of the Nazis and whatnot. Um, fast forward that these people are saying in today's times that they're suffering from post traumatic stress syndrome for things that transpired about what, less than 100 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, what makes them think that the Paleo Indians, aka American Indians, which are us, that we're not going through post traumatic stress syndrome? But that's a different show, you know. And hopefully, I will have Karen on the show because she deals with, you know, the psychological mind when it comes to our people, and she does help people with, issues, emotional, mental issues that our people are suffering. So I will have her on the show too, guys. Okay. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, because that's very important. Mental health, just like physical health, is very important.
It's
And
very.
mhm,
It's all holistic.
very.
It's spiritual, mental, physical. Our people didn't never separated the three. It was all one. So when we were using, our medicines, our plant medicines to heal, it always healed more than one part of the self or the whole entire self.
Mhm, that's true. Um, Danielle, did you want to share anything such as like your website where people can find you?
Yeah, sure. Let me I'll pull it up. Let me share the screen.
Oh, okay.
See if people can see it. Are you guys able to see it?
Hold on. Let me see. Let me add it to the stream. Have to click
Okay.
add. Because
All right.
it's
So this should
lagging. Because they dropped me. Okay.
right. They kept dropping.
Right. I was
I'm not.
like, what the heck?
They don't want us to
I was
know.
like, oh man. For real. Exactly. Anytime that it says everything's great, everything's lovely, it's like my dad used to say, everything's lovely. When when things going in their way, like we follow their narrative, what they want to make our people believe is that we came from somewhere else. It's
Mhm.
cool. They don't drop you. But then when we're talking about some real stuff, we talking some cash money stuff, then all of a sudden they want to drop us
Right, right.
because they know because they know that this truth about us being indigenous is a threat to them economically. And that's really truly what it comes down to. Okay, so I see it. I'm trying to add it to the okay. Now we should see it right now.
Okay, so here is the website is okaohoyo.com. Okaohoyo comes from the Choctaw language and it means water woman. And I offer an array of different healing service, integrative healing and wellness services for us copper colored folks. And
Hmm.
so I encourage restoring the Trinity, what I call the true Trinity of life, which is the cosmic mother, our earthly mother, and all natural life to the planet. So the humans, the plants, the animals, we're all one. And, and we can only heal when all of these things are in balance. And so I have different consultations that I offer. I like I said earlier, I'm an energy healer, so I offer energy healing sessions. Um, I'm also a student herbalist, and I make my own herbal products. My products are called Indigenous herbs, and I make different things. Like I have sea moss, Caribbean sea moss, elderberry syrups, blood cleanser tea, and womb steams for the ladies. So yeah, that's basically what I'm doing. I'm just all about healing. I'm all about being a steward to the earth and preserving our culture. That's basically what my business is really
Da-
focusing on, preserving the culture.
Danielle,
And yes,
Danielle,
yes.
put put in the chat. Put in the chat so everybody can click on the link.
Oh, okay. How do let me see. Hmm. I'm not sure if it showed up in the comments, but
Okay.
yeah, that's basically what I do. And I'm on Facebook. You can follow me on Facebook at Oka Ohoyo. I'm also on Instagram at Oka Ohoyo. And I have a YouTube page called Oka Ohoyo. And my videos are usually just geared towards like talking about different things in our culture, especially like with Choctaw culture. That's the main, cultural traditions that I really focus on my channel. But I do talk about other things, and I talk a lot about using plants in healing and different our different Amerindian healing traditions. So
Mm-hmm. It was really important, right? Yeah, because you know, plant life is very important to our survival. Because of all the different nutrients that's in plants.
exactly. And I call plants our allies because plants have always been allies to indigenous people, from using plants as medicine to farming and foraging for food to using the plants to make the fibers of our traditional breechcloth regalia, and to even our spiritual root work traditions, because a huge part of our spirituality and root work it incorporates using roots and herbs for ritual and ceremony. So it's very, very, very important. It's
Hmm.
and as indigenous people, we have to do our part, and as the stewards and the caretakers of the planet, that's who we truly are. Because the plants already take care of us, but we have to make sure that we're doing our part in taking care of them. in return. It's very important. And that's what a lot of these farmers have to understand too, because you can't overtake from nature. Take only what you need, but you also have to give back to nature as well.
Hmm. That's right. And that our ancestors understood. They definitely understood that. Like for instance, um, like when they went farming before, after they killed the animal, that they thanked the animal for giving up his life in order for us to live.
Yes.
So like when they went to go hunt a deer, that they thank the animal, and then they use the different parts of that animal, like use the hide in order to build, like shelter, or they used it and to make clothing or shoes and so on and so forth, and then meat in order to feed us.
Yeah. Nothing went
So
to waste.
yeah,
Nothing went to waste.
nothing.
There's always a purpose for everything, and they always ask permission first. Even before you pick a plant from the ground, you always have to ask permission. So it's sacred.
Hmm.
Every
And then
every
the thing about George Washington Carver. Oh yeah, everything was. Yep. And George Washington Carver, he was such a genius and he was such in tune with nature to the point that he said that he could hear, he could communicate with the plants. Now that's a gift that a lot of our people don't have because we're so out of touch with nature.
yeah.
And that the plants told him what they were used for.
He's so right because it's so funny, and that goes back to what I was saying earlier about these farmers have to tap into those indigenous nature spirits here because even in the Choctaw culture, for example, there is this belief that there are these little people, these little nature spirit people called the Bokoli. And the Bokoli, they were like really fun and playful, but they also taught the people information about the plants and what plants to use, what plants weren't toxic, what plants were edible, what plants that you can use for whatever ailment. So it's very, very important to tap into that.
Hmm. I
I
agree.
think it's on share
I
screen.
agree. Yeah, I had to figure out how to share it. Okay, now see,
Oh,
I think everybody can see the website right here now. So there we go.
but I
Wait a
yeah
minute.
that video too. Like even having this video, watching the video, and having this discussion made me think about my own personal journey too. When tapping into my DNA memory, like it's been like a 5 year journey for me in terms of tapping back into my indigenous ancestry, and and a part of that included finding my calling with connecting with the plants. Because, as I stated, a lot of my ancestors personally were farmers. And I actually, fun fact, 2 years ago, I went on this website and did like a little past life reading thing. And it said that I was actually a farmer in one of my past lives, or several of my past lives. And the more I just tap deeper into, who I am, and I'm just really seeing my love and my passion for plants, and because I'm currently enrolled in the herbal certification course, and I also have been doing work in the city for the past 2 years with an elder named Mama Raven. We've been teaching the community how to identify plants and their medicinal properties and their edible properties. We have herbal walks every summer, every spring and summer. We do the herbal walks on the riverfront, and it's just
Hmm.
my passion, and I want to keep tapping deeper into that, creating medicines for the community. And I also want to get deeper into botany as well, because I think that's very important for our people to tap into.
Hmm. Yep, it is. It's extremely important. And so, what she's talking about the riverfront, she's talking about Detroit because that's where we live. That's where we're from. and the riverfront is right there off of a street called Jefferson Avenue. And
Mm,
Jefferson Avenue is right next to the basically the main street of downtown Detroit is Woodward Avenue. And the interesting thing about Woodward is that name is it's important because even though it was a European person, that European he wrote about our ancestors. And so I'm going to do a video about that too, guys, in the future. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, but plant life, the herbal walks is very important for you to be able to recognize what these plants are and what they're used for. And so that's what Danielle and you said Mama Raven, right?
yes,
That's what they do.
yep,
Yeah, that's what.
yep. And
Yeah,
that's she
elder. Yep,
actually
exactly.
actually came to two of our walks. It was like two of the walks that you attended.
Yep, I did. It was good. It was very nice. I enjoyed myself too. It was hot that day, but it was very nice. It was very.
Yep, it wasn't.
Mhm.
But it was just a lot of learning, a lot of knowledge being shared, and wisdom and healing.
Mhm. And we talked about burdock root, and how burdock root, how it purifies the blood,
Yep,
it
yep.
detoxes blood, and and didn't she talk about how you use it? You can use it in your soup, right?
Yeah, because
You
she
add,
actually Mama Raven, she gets the burdock root and she stirs her soup with it so that the medicine from the root can go into the food.
Yep,
Yep.
I remember that. And then I remember right after she mentioned that, I remember I drove over to Whole Foods, which is right there off of Mac at the corner of off of Woodward and Mac, right? That area.
Oh man, the call dropped again. Well, yeah,
I'm back. I'm sorry.
you're right. They do sell the roots at Whole Foods too, where they sell them there. And we also our favorite herb that we and plant that we like to share with people every time
Y'all
is the
believe in? They said, do y'all believe in the shift of energy that's going on
oh yeah, yeah. Actually,
December
that
21st? Mm-hmm.
I forgot that was
Oh,
something
did you
else.
want to talk about the moon, right? And the sun. Mhm.
Huh. Yeah, this definitely is a shift of energy coming. I actually forgot that was something that I wanted to mention too. It actually is starting on tomorrow on the 14th because tomorrow's the new moon and an eclipse all in one day. Then on the 21st, which is the solstice, there is a planetary alignment that's going to happen and it's going to form what they call it a Christmas star, but it's not about Christmas at all. It's just the stars aligning and radiating their energy. And then on the 30th, we have a full moon. So what I
Mhm.
recommend to people is to just do a lot of deep cleansing. Like I just got a bunch of, I went to the grocery store early today and I got a bunch of greens, like dandelion greens and
Mhm.
red clover and things that I can start doing my green drinking with and raw salad so I can just clean my system out for the next 2 weeks and just have a clear mind and a clear space to kind of take in all of that energy. Because there's going to be a lot of powerful energy coming up and a lot of
Mhm.
download from, from the great spirit and our ancestors that we have to pay close attention to.
Mhm. That's very important, right? That's true. Yeah. Detoxing your body. Dandelion root is definitely good for. I think it is cleaning your liver, right?
Yeah, it cleans the liver, and I eat dandelions too. the whole entire plant is edible. So I usually just get the dandelion leaves and I'll cut them up. I'll put it in the salad or I'll cook it with some collard greens, and it really cleanses my system. Oh no. She should be coming back on shortly again, guys. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Oh, what? She was just getting back. Okay, here. Okay, good. But yeah, before
I'm
you drop
back.
before I drop again, I was just telling them how I eat the whole dandelion because the whole plant is edible. It's very. I put it in my salads and my soups.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually have. I recommend you guys to buy this product called Dandy Blend. It's an alternative to coffee, and it's made out of dandelion roots and the chicory roots. So they take chicory root, dandelion root, and they roast it, and they turned it into a powder that you can have a coffee-like beverage out of. And it's very, very cleansing. Or you can
Mm-hmm.
make it yourself. If you just if you really that deep into the herbs, go out and pour some dandelions and roast the roots yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And on YouTube nowadays, they have all types of videos to show you how to do all types of stuff. Believe it or not,
Mm-hmm.
how to can foods, how to make jelly, how to make jam. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yep,
can even
yep,
make your own natural soda pop if you want. If you want to, it's a lot of
yep.
interesting stuff online. And then it said, okay, let's look at this comment. It says, she be Lolo Indigenous says that's why the wicked ones trying to push the vax. That's
Yep,
true. They are.
yep.
And
It
and see, and that
just
yep, and see, and the thing is about indigenous, us as being indigenous, we can fight back against that because we have indigenous right not to take, vaccination because we have our own ways of how we deal with our health, which is herbal, and they know that, you know. So if they try to say otherwise, then that's a lawsuit you could bring against them. And plus, you have what they call a right to work, which is a constitutional right that you have as well.
hmm. Yep, yep. And the Constitution is supposed it is the supreme law of the land. So the Constitution trumps any of their state or city and ordinances and policies. It doesn't go above the law.
That's right. That's true. And plus, and then the country of which you live in, which is the state.
Hmm.
Like if you look in the law dictionary, it says nation state. Each state in the union is actually a nation. That's why each state has their own constitution. Each state has their own flag.
Yep, yep. She should be, like I said, she should be coming back on shortly. To answer the one person how to spell it, it's Oka Ohoyo is spelled OKA, and Ohio is OHOYO.
Okay.
They was asking how to spell the Oka Ohio. It's OKAOHOYO, and that's on Facebook and Instagram.
Can you share your page again? Can you share it, your website again, or your Facebook
Yeah,
your Facebook page?
yeah, I can pull it up. Let's see. see. Let me press share screen. I just pressed share screen.
Okay. Let me add it to the stream so everybody can see it. Let's see this. It should pop up now.
Okay.
Let's see.
So this is it, and as you can see, it's big right here. This is the logo. So it's OKAOHOYO, and this is it on Facebook. And it's the same exact thing on Instagram and YouTube as well. It's the same exact name.
Okay.
So,
So
all
that's
right.
good. Let me see.
Thank you.
Okay, hold on for a second. Let me see something. Oh, is it still there? Okay. Wait a minute. What in the world? Hold on for a second. All right. What happened? It went
Oh,
black.
they asked about the coffee substitute. Dandy Blend is spelled DANDY, like candy, but with a D, and then it's just blend, Dandy Blend. And actually, I actually got it. See if you guys can. This is what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Blend. It's an instant beverage, and it's made from the roasted dandelion and chicory roots. And it's a good coffee alternative. You can get it you can order it on Amazon, or you can go to any health food store in your local area to get it from.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really good stuff.
Oh yeah, it is. I think I'm gonna try it. I don't, I really don't drink coffee. My mom drinks coffee, and my dad, he was a really, strong advocate for coffee. He used to like to go to Dunkin' Donuts like every day and get a medium coffee with 3 creams, 3 sugars. He said he got started drinking coffee when he was a little boy, 8 years old. His granddaddy started to give him coffee and said, "Here you go, grandson. Here's some coffee." But yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So
this is caffeine free, completely caffeine free.
oh, it's caffeine free.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right,
It's not,
better.
it's not actual coffee. It's just the dandelion and the chicory root.
Mm-hmm. But it has that type of flavor like coffee.
Yep. Similar flavor and
Mm-hmm.
consistency.
Okay. So can a person add anything to it to make it like agave to make it like sweeter if
Yeah,
it's bitter? Is it bitter actually by itself or?
not really, but what I do to sweeten it, like I either add honey or agave or some form of raw natural sugar to it. And I like to also add, my hemp milk to it as well. That's how I usually make mine.
Mm.
And you only need 1 teaspoon
Okay.
of a cup.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. That's good. That's good. I'm gonna look
Yeah.
into that. So, because I had dropped off, well, I was, drop me off or whatever. So, where can I find this at?
It's on. You can order on Amazon, or you can find it at any health food store locally. Like for
Mm-hmm.
us, there's this place in Royal Oak or Ferndale. Actually, it's called Natural Food Patch. I think they sell it too in
Mm-hmm.
Ferndale, Michigan. But
Mm-hmm.
any health food store should have it, or Amazon.
Mm-hmm. And did you see that Art he joined us in the chat earlier and during the broadcast. I'm glad that he was able to make it in. Just like I'm
Oh,
glad everybody was able who's in the chat right now and who's watching right now. I'm glad that you guys made it to watch this live. And after the broadcast is over with, you can see it from the beginning to see everything that you had missed earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's what's up.
mhm.
The
But
people,
is that mhm.
I was saying, people are have been giving a lot of good and interesting feedback that I'm reading in the comments.
Mhm. They have, yeah. There's been a lot of good information been shared in the chat for sure, definitely.
Mm.
Mhm. So okay, Danielle, I'm glad that you were my guest today, and you really kept everything. It was very entertaining to have somebody else up here with me to talk to about these things. you know, Instead of just me, sharing an article, reading the article, and giving my own opinion only.
But thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Like, this is fun, and I definitely would like to do this more. Um, I'm not really, I don't really do the lives like that, but I felt very, very comfortable, and I really loved um, the commenters too. Like, they added on to it as well, and it was nice interacting with them too. But this is good. This is all
They
love,
did. They
energy.
really did. They more like it.
Yeah.
It is, and I'm glad that we had this conversation. I think it's gonna be very helpful. It's very helpful information. And you guys, I hope that you please like this video. Please share it to your friends and your family, because that's only how other people will learn about my channel and the information that I'm trying to put out to the public. And also check out Danielle's YouTube channel and please support her business, because in order for us to have, to be more powerful, we got to support each other economically in order for us to have power, because with money is power. It goes hand in hand, because the people who are rich, they're rich for a reason, because they have people that support them financially. And because of the finances, they're able to push their agenda when it comes to these lobbyists. You see, like tobacco and big pharma, they have lobbyists, and they go and they talk to different politicians in order to push their agenda. Okay, so us as indigenous people, we have to push our agenda as well. But anyways, I'm glad that you guys came on here to hear what we had to say, and I'm glad, Danielle, that you came through. And right now, I'm about to go ahead and end this broadcast. And I hope to see you guys next time, okay?
All right. Thank you.
Goodbye.
All right. Peace.
See you later.